You're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, you can see that.
Okay, good. So in our today's class, we'll understand something called as select statements. So what are select statements? Select statements are a kind of decision-making statements which will let you know, or which will guide through the transfer of your program control based on certain decision, or based on certain expression, whether it can be true or false, or any case or something like that. Making sense? So basically there are two different types of or two different ways to implement decision making in your C sharp. That being said, the first way would be called as your if else way, and the second way is called as your switch case. Understood? Yes or no? Guys, are you there? Good. Do you understand what is select statements? So select statements will help you in making some decision based on certain condition or certain expression. Okay, for example, think that you might be coming across a scenario which says that if it is a weekday, you'll tell that it is a weekday. If it is not a weekday, you should display on the console whether it is a weekday or not. Okay, that's about it. So first, as we understood, there are multiple ways to do it, and the first way to do it is using your if statement. So if statement will accept a condition, and this condition should be of boolean type. So any expression which can result in true or false can be taken as input by your if statement, and based on that, if it is true, it will execute the conditions inside your if block, otherwise they'll not. Fine. Good. Let's try to understand how to do it practically.
In real-time scenario, are we working on console applications or?
No, what we'll do as part of our training, we'll initially start with console-based applications.
Okay.
Okay. And we will be moving to something called as web-based applications once we start ASP.NET.
Okay. Got
Okay. Otherwise, you'll not get a chance to look at console applications at all.
it. Yeah.
The reason why when we are doing C sharp, we take console-based applications for practice. Okay, and that doesn't mean you'll not come across console applications at all, but somehow when there is a situation which doesn't require you to have a proper graphical user interface, then you'll definitely go ahead and use console based applications. Somewhere you might be writing some jobs which will fetch the data from some data source like your Excel sheets or your Word documents or something like that, and you might have to update the database, or you might have to get the data from one database and process it and put it in some other table. So in this kind of scenarios, jobs doesn't really require very good graphical user interface, right? So in this kind of scenarios, you'll definitely use console applications. Okay, but here we are practicing using console applications because when once we start looking at ASP.NET, we'll not look at anything apart from your web-based applications. Fine. So let's create some method here. Public void decision of, okay, int x. So you might be accepting a integer and you will check if that is perfectly divisible by 0 or not, by 2 or not, and if it is divisible, what is this doing? Okay, console dot write line of x is even. Fine, understood? So you know what this percentage symbol refers to, right? It will get the reminder. Fine, and what I'm doing here, I'm going to my program.cs file and excuse me. Select obj dot decision of, I'll give 16789. Okay, there is an integer. So let's see what will happen if I run this. Excuse me. Does it show anything? No, right? Why so? Because x is not even. Now let me replace it with something ending with 0. Now it should say that x is even, right? But logically it doesn't make sense, right? So if you don't display anything, so there is a extension of your if statement which is called as your else statement. Fine. So else statement will get executed once your if statement or a condition in your if statement fails. Making sense? Yes or no? Good. So I'm pretty much sure that these things are very primary level topics, but still we should be discussing them. Okay, we'll just give you a revision even if you are aware of the basic decision making statements. Fine. Good. So now else statement, what will it do? It will say it is odd when it is odd, right? So as an extension to this scenario, you might run across a condition where x can be neither even nor odd, right? Will there be something like neither even nor odd? What is that? 2 or 0? I'm not sure of it, but let's take it as 0. Neither 0 is a even number. Okay, so then let's change our logic this way. If x is greater than 0, fine, then we will say x is positive. Okay, and else we'll say negative, right? However, 0 is neither positive nor negative, right? So what we will do, we'll use some other statement called as else if statement, okay, or nested if statement. Else if x equal to 0, okay, then we'll write x is 0, fine. And finally we will end the nested if with a else, okay. If you are using else if, then it is called as nested if statement. Understood? Making sense or no? Yes or no? Good. Sai Krishna, what's happening with you? Are you there or not? Good. So now it should display that x is 0. Fine. So that's about here. This is about here uh, if condition. Okay. If and else. So now let's move on to some other type of decision making logic called as your switch case. Fine. So are you aware of switch case? Have you ever heard of something called a switch case? Yes or no? What's happening with you guys? Prakriti, are you there? Prakriti, are you there? Sai Krishna, are you there? What's happening with you? I asked you, did you ever come across something called as a switch case statement? My voice is breaking. Good. Fine. So what does switch case means? So switch case uses two different keywords called as switch and case. Okay. The switch statement is a control statement that selects a switch selection to execute from a list of candidates. Fine. We'll understand what this means. And a switch statement uh, mm, includes one or more switch sections, and each switch section contains one or more case labels followed by one or more statements. The following example shows. Okay, so did you see this? Are you able to see this code? So here if you are seeing, there are two different keywords here, or for that matter three. One is switch, second is case, and third is default. Fine. And what is a switch section? A switch section contains more than one or more case labels attached in it, right? So if you see in the switch block, you are seeing case blocks embedded inside them, right? So each case will check whether whether the given condition is matching the switch variable or not. Fine. So this is called as your switch variable or switch parameter. And if no problem. So if the in the given condition, if the case switch is equal to 1, then this logic gets executed, and if this case switch is equal to 2, then this logic will get executed. So what will happen based on the value of your case parameter or case operator, here appropriate case statement or case block will get executed, and if none of them are matching, then the default block will get executed. Making sense? Understood or not? Fine, let's do it this way. Let's replace this with mm, okay, and I will say switch off value. Okay, and this should be enclosed with multiple case statements. No, there is something different again. Bool is your C# specific type, and Boolean is your framework specific type. Understood? Why do we use framework specific type? When we are trying to use more than one language in our application, then we will use framework specific types, so that both the the code written in multiple languages can communicate with each other. Making sense? Good. So case, if it is true, okay, then console dot write line of condition satisfied, and each case block or each case set should be ending with a break statement. Why so? We'll discuss it a bit later. Okay. And if it is false, then I'll say condition is not satisfied, and I'll break it. Making sense? And what will I do? I'll say false, and let me run this. So it should display condition is not satisfied, right? And null is not accepted. Fine, let me change the logic. It will not accept anything apart from okay. Case 1, case 0, and is 1. And here I would say input is 0. Okay, and however I might receive, okay, let me pass on 0 here. Okay, it works with 0 because there is a case statement for 0. And now let me make it 1, and it works for this as well. But if I pass on any other number apart from 0 or 1, then it will show a blank screen, right? So these type of cases where none of the these type of scenarios where none of the cases matched are called as your default cases. Okay, for handling those cases, what you will do, you will have some default block which you can use for displaying the default logic. Input is neither 0 nor 1. Cannot control fall through from case label default to another. I don't know what does that mean. So let me run this. Now it says input is neither 0 nor 1, right? So here you should have observed multiple keywords like here switch, case, break, and default, right? So what does your switch refer to? Switch refers that this is a switch case logic or switch block, fine. And this switch block accepts a switch parameter or switch operator, and based on the value of this switch parameter here you will be running this value through multiple case statements, and each switch statement should have multiple switch case statements defined in it, at least one case statement defined inside it, okay. And once your value is entered and the switch statement is called, it will start verifying the value through all the case statements. So it will check whether the value is 1 here or whether the value is 0 here, and if none of the above mentioned cases is matching, it will execute the default block. Making sense? What is the purpose of your break statement or break keyword? Break keyword will break the condition or break the switch case after checking the particular case statement if it is valid. So if this case statement is valid, there is no need to verify whether the value is 0 or default, right? So you will be breaking the switch case there itself instead of verifying it with other blocks, other case blocks, right? Understood? Good. So that is the purpose of your break logic. Now there is a different operator again called as your question mark operator, which can be used as a replacement for your if else. So what is question mark operator? Question mark operator does the same function as a if else statement with single expression in it, okay. And the conditional operator returns one of the following values depending on the value of the boolean expression, fine. So if you see here, this is how your conditional statement or question mark operator looks like, and it will check for a condition, and if this condition is true, it will execute the first expression, and if this condition is false, it will execute the second expression, and both the first expression and your second expression are separated by a colon symbol. Understood? And if you look at it carefully, it's a very quick replacement of your if else statement with one condition check. Understood? Or one expression inside each if and else block. Making sense? Good. So what is the purpose of question mark operator then? The question mark operator simplifies things. Okay, simplifies your if else statement. Instead of writing everything again, you can just check whether it is valid or not, fine. How to execute it? Okay, we'll go back and we'll write some other logic here, and we'll int string uh, result equal to, okay, nothing. And here what we'll do, if uh, what will I do, result equal to, I should write the expression first, right? I should check the condition. What I'll do, value greater than 0, okay. Then I'll have to add the question mark and I'll have to write the first value, and after that I'll have to write the second value. Making sense? And after that I'll close it. I'll say mm, input is positive. Now I'll say input is negative. Making sense? And I'll display the result. Console dot write line of result. Fine. Did we understand the expression here using the question mark operator? So we are having three different sections of your question mark operator related expression. First one is your condition check. After that, if the condition is true, it will execute the first statement, and if it is false, it will execute the second statement. Right? So if value is greater than 0, it will assign input is positive to your result, and if it is less than if it is not greater than 0, it will assign input is negative to your result. So now what I'll do, I'll pass on -9 to it. Fine. Did we get the result as input is negative? Making sense or not? Good. So did we understand how your question mark operator works? Second. Let me open some other document here. Fine. Let's move on to our next topic here, and we'll try to understand something called as operators in your C sharp. What is a operator, guys? What is a operator? Any idea what is a operator? Yes or no? If you have any idea, say yes. Otherwise, say no. That's fine. Okay. So a operator is a keyword which is used to perform some predefined operation on some variables or expressions called as operands. Fine. So for example, think that you are performing a mathematical operation called as addition. Then the plus symbol is called as add operator, and you should have this add operator is performing some operations on predefined variables, like your a and b. A can be 10 and b can be 20 as it displays on your screen, and your plus operator or add operator can be used to add both of them. So it is performing a predefined add function on both the operands, right? So the operator is a symbol which is used to represent some predefined operation on some variables or expressions called as operators. Making sense? That being said, there are basically three different types of operators here, and the first one is called as your arithmetic operator, second one is called as your relational operators, and third one is called as your logical operators. Understood? So what are arithmetic operators? As the name says, arithmetic operators are used to perform mathematical functions. Fine. And as we know, there are multiple types of arithmetic operators, like your plus operator, which is used to add your operands, and minus operator, which is used to subtract the second operand from your first operand, and the star operand is used for multiplication, and the forward slash is used for division, and percentage is used for calculating the modulus. What is modulus? Do you have any idea? We have looked at it just now, right? So modulus will give you the remainder after division. Fine. Remainder. Good. So apart from them, you have two more operators called as plus plus and minus minus. Plus plus will increment the value of a operand by 1, and minus minus would be used to decrement it by 1. Fine. So if a's value is 10, then if you are performing a expression called as a plus plus, then the a's value get increased to 11, increased by 1, and it becomes 11. And if you are performing minus minus operator on the operand called as a, then its value goes to 9. Making sense? It's as simple as a equal to a plus 1 or a equal to a minus 1. Fine. Increment and decrement operators. Prakriti, is it clear? Good. And the second set of operators are called as relational operators. Fine. And these relational operators, they'll try to check or compare the operands. So what they'll do, they'll check or they'll perform a comparison on the operands, and they'll result in plus sorry, a true or false. So they'll relational operators always result in boolean values only. Understood? What are boolean values? True and false, right? And assume that a's value is 10 and b value is 20 here, and first relational operator is here equal to operator, and we have seen it in the code, right? We have seen it in our code where we were comparing. mm, I think I have closed the if statement. There we were comparing whether your value is equal to 0, right? So here two equal tos are used because if you write a expression like a equal to b with only one equal to, then this value would be assigned to a, right? So if you are using two equal tos, then a's value will be compared to b. Understood? That's the reason why we have two equal to's here instead of one. And it will result in true if a is equal to b, and it will result in false if a is not equal to b. And that's the reason why you see that 10 is not equal to 20. So that's the reason why it will say false. It will return false. Fine. And the second relational operator is called as your not equal to operator, where it will return a true if a is not equal to b, and in this case a is not equal to b. That's the reason why it will return true. And if a equal to b, then it will return false. Making sense? Good. After that, you have a greater than operator which will return a true if a is greater than b. And here 10 is not greater than 20. That's the reason why it will return a false. And after that, you have a less than operator which will return true if a is less than b. And here it will return true. Fine. I'm trying to complete it a bit faster because these are very basic topics. Okay, but still, if you want me to slow down, please let me know. Fine. And I don't think they are complex or they require more explanation. Okay, but I'm fine to explain it more if you are not understanding. Okay, don't hesitate to ask me. And there is one more operator called as greater than or equal to, and which will return true if a is greater than or equal to b, and in this case 10 is not greater than or equal to 20. So that's the reason why it will return false. And after that, you have a less than or equal to operator which will return true if a is less than or equal to b. So here a is less than b, so it will return true. Making sense? Good. And finally, you have logical operators, which are your AND operator, OR operator, and NOT operator. So as we understood earlier, this is used to compare two Boolean values, and it will return a Boolean value again. So if think that A is true and B is false, then A and B will be true if both of them are true, which means here it is false. And a or b will return a true if at least one of them is true, and here a is true. That's the reason why it will return true. And not will you will return the negation of the given value. So here A is true and not A would be false, and here B is false and not B will be true. Understood? Good. So that is about your operators. We have already looked at the decision support or decision making statements. So today we have understood the select statements or decision making statements, where we understood if, else, else if, and switch, case, default, and break statements. And after that we have understood the question mark operator. With that we have completed the decision making, and we moved on to something called as operators, and we understood the different operators, like here arithmetic operators, relational operators, and logical operators, right? Do we have any questions on what we have discussed today? Good. And most probably from Monday onwards our classes will start at 6:30 instead of 7, and they'll continue for 1.5 hours. Okay. And I'll let you know, I'll confirm it over email if there is a change in the timing. But most probably it should be starting at 6:30, and I don't think both of you have an issue with it.